A huge welcome to you in the latest Pyramus Srac video. I'm sure many of you remember that certain wow signal or whoa signal, which many people thought was a message we caught from outer space, coming from an intelligent and advanced civilization. Now, the thing is, even though this happened quite a long time ago, new research has started to look into this mystery again, because it's entirely possible that the message has just arrived now, here in 2026. But let's take a look at what exactly happened back then, and what's happening now. 1977. On August 15th, the Ohio State University radio telescope recorded an absolutely astonishing transmission. A few days after the signal was received, astronomer Jerry Ehman was going through the computer data when a 6-character code sequence caught his eye. This seemingly meaningless combination of letters and numbers actually marked a 72-second long, incredibly intense and focused radio signal that was far beyond the natural background noise of space. Professor Ehman was so stunned by what he saw that he circled the code with a red pen and just scribbled "wow" on the edge of the paper. With this spontaneous exclamation, the most solid and still most exciting chapter of UFO research was born, one that many consider to be the very first and irrefutable proof that we are not alone in the infinite cosmos. For UFO believers and researchers of alternative theories, the wow signal is not just a simple astronomical anomaly, but a cosmic greeting from a conscious, intelligent civilization, a kind of technological calling card. According to followers of this theory, the most important characteristic of a signal is its frequency, which arrived at exactly 1,420 megahertz, that is, at the 21 centimeter wavelength of neutral hydrogen. Since hydrogen is the most common and fundamental building block of the universe, scientists have suspected since the dawn of SETI programs that if an alien species wanted to contact other intelligent beings, they would choose this frequency as a kind of universal language. According to the UFO community, the fact that the signal came exactly from this frequency and from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius rules out coincidence. They believe that we walked right into the beam of a transmitter controlled by a civilization more advanced than ours. Or perhaps the navigation system of an alien spacecraft flashed in front of our telescope. And the current period around 2026 has become critical because, due to the presumed interstellar distances, our response, or the repeated waves of the signal, could be returning to their point of origin right around now. Although the idea of an extraterrestrial origin is extremely inspiring, official science and skeptical researchers are still trying to take a closer look at the hard facts. A fundamental rule of astronomy is reproducibility. But the greatest mystery, and at the same time the curse, of the wow signal is that despite decades of observation and the use of the most modern telescopes, it has never been detected again. According to skeptical approaches, a real alien civilization would transmit signals continuously or cyclically. A single burst like this is much more likely to point to some rare but entirely natural cosmic process. For example, Professor Antonio Paris argued in a theory published in the Journal of the Washington Academy of Sciences that the measurement could have been caused by the interference of two comets passing by, 266P/Christensen and P/2008 Y2 Gibbs, surrounded by massive hydrogen clouds. Although this discovery was disputed by Jerry Ehman himself and experts from the SETI Institute. According to another scientific explanation, the bending and amplification of light from distant natural radio sources by space plasma could be behind it, which could have amplified the sound of a quasar or, say, a pulsar in much the same way that stars twinkle in the night sky because of Earth's atmosphere. Although the debate around the wow signal has not died down in the scientific community, in fact, skeptics and official academic researchers have come up with theories that seriously challenge the convictions of UFO researchers. Representatives of the scientific community mainly cling to the idea that you can infer the existence of an entire interstellar civilization from a single, isolated transmission. The core of the skeptical argument is that the cosmos is a gigantic, chaotic laboratory where the laws of physics sometimes produce anomalies at the most unexpected moments. Anomalies that the human mind is immediately inclined to interpret as intelligent messages. In the history of astrophysics, this wouldn't be the first time that something much more mundane was found behind what was initially believed to be a sensational discovery. For example, when the first pulsars were discovered in the last century, the astronomers initially seriously referred to the phenomenon as the little green man because of the signals arriving in a regular rhythm, before they realized it was simply rapidly rotating neutron stars. However, UFO researchers firmly reject these natural explanations and believe that skeptics are just stubbornly trying to deny the obvious. According to the UFO community, representatives of official science keep coming up with increasingly convoluted theories because admitting an extraterrestrial origin would fundamentally overturn our current worldview, and of course, our scientific paradigms as well. That, admittedly, is a fact. Now, if we take this as a basis, it also raises the theory that the signal might have come from an extremely advanced civilization, one classified according to the so-called Kardashev scale, which could have been capable of emitting a directed transmission with such immense energy that humanity still wouldn't be able to produce anything like it today. By the way, you can find more information about the Kardashev scale and the scientific theories of interstellar civilizations here. So it's quite possible that the cosmic noise or instrument errors mentioned by skeptics can be completely ruled out, since the clarity of the measurements at the time and the drastic emergence from the background noise showed exactly the characteristics of an artificially generated wave. So it's also possible that the current state of science simply isn't advanced enough yet to understand the technology that was once used to deliver this message. However, the latest achievements in modern technology and astrophysics are casting this cosmic mystery in a completely new light. And according to UFO researchers, it's right now, in the mid 2020s, that we've reached the big breakthrough, that it's happening right now. Many people believe that the latest astronomical catalogs finally show us exactly where the message was sent from. For example, Alberto Caballero, an amateur astronomer and researcher, used data from the European Space Agency's Gaia space telescope in his study published in the journal International Journal of Astrobiology. So, from this monumental, truly massive database containing billions of stars, he managed to single out a specific celestial body that is almost a perfect twin of our sun. And this could also suggest that we have found the home of a civilization that developed under conditions similar to ours, but is much older and more advanced than us, and that the broadcast was actually aimed at Earth from there using a supercomputer controlled, high powered transmission tower. Exactly the same way we have tried to do it ourselves, by the way. But if this signal was clearly a deliberate message from a distant intelligence, then our era, especially the year 2026, could hold some truly incredible excitement. If, in fact, modern human technology today were able to repeat the reception, it would completely rewrite history. For example, there's the Breakthrough Listen project, and monumental systems like the gigantic radio telescope networks spread across South Africa and, say, Australia, which already process data streams coming from space in real time. So, if members of a distant civilization were to press that certain button again these days, the AI driven defense and research systems would alert the planet in a fraction of a second. And of course, they would immediately confirm the presence of aliens before, of course, governments could cover up these discoveries if, say, these facilities weren't under government control, right? So, it's basically a case of out of the frying pan into the fire. Although skeptical astrophysicists do acknowledge the brilliance of Caballero's work in identifying the sun-like star, they always add that the celestial body in question is more than 1,000 light years away from us. And that means the radio waves had to travel for 1,000 years through the darkness. So if a civilization there had sent them, they would have had to do it during their own Middle Ages, which lowers the likelihood of a precisely timed transmission directed at us. On top of that, astronomers also point out that the digital smog surrounding Earth, the tens of thousands of satellites, and of course the artificial space debris generate millions of false alarms every day. According to scientists, with today's technology, we wouldn't pick up a clear message, but would much more likely get lost in the electronic noise we've created ourselves, which would make it extremely difficult to filter out a possible real cosmic response. But here's a really interesting story. The theological research supported by NASA and conducted at Princeton University delves very deeply into the question of extraterrestrial life. And now pay attention. The studies they conducted concluded that, contrary to popular belief, the world's major religions and social structures would not collapse upon hearing the news that we are not alone, or even if, say, a spaceship landed among us. Instead, we would be capable of integrating the existence of our cosmic neighbors into our own belief systems. But just think about it. On what basis would we force a religion onto extraterrestrials when it's entirely possible that they have a completely different explanation for things? Still, no matter how you look at it, many people believe that the wow signal remains proof that we are not alone in this vast universe. If in the near future we were to receive an irrefutable response, I think it would still fundamentally shake up politics, our everyday way of thinking, and of course, our vision of the future. Here's the latest Spielberg film that's causing quite a stir: Day of Disclosure. Of course, anyone who's seen it knows what I mean. Confessions, congressional hearings, and on top of that, even Trump keeps hinting that this July there will be an announcement about the existence and presence of extraterrestrials. He mentioned it in a pretty vague way, which could end up being an announcement similar to a day of disclosure, so to speak. At least that's what a lot of people think. I still take these ideas with a grain of salt, but who knows? But now the whole world is watching you. So, as usual, please share your opinion about what was discussed in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of complex topic that I think we can really have some deep discussions about. And next time, I'll be back at the usual time. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Yeses to you all, and rock and roll.